Hi everyone, it's the 6th of January 2021 and we're going to have a look at our geography lesson. Now last term we learned all about life on the farm. This term our big question and our topic is called Where Do I Live? So we're going to be learning all about the country that we live in and also some of the continents and different places in the world. So I'm really excited to start this topic, and lesson 1 we're going to find out where we are on a world map. So let's get started. We're going to start with our just checking, just like we do in class. Now, obviously this is our first lesson, so we don't have a question for last week, but we do have a question from last unit and from last term. So I'm going to ask the question and I'd like you to pause the video and have a little chat, share it with the screen, and we'll talk about the answers when you come back. So would you find a farm in the city or in the countryside? Would you find a farm in a city or in the countryside? Pause the video and it says why. So why, or how do you know that it would be either in the city or in the countryside? Right, so if you suggested that a farm would be in the countryside, well done. We know that farms have animals on them and we know that they often can grow lots of different crops. So they're going to need lots of space to do that and lots of space for the animals. And cities are often quite noisy and busy and they don't have that space. So farms are found in the countryside. So well done if you guessed that. Last term. So which animal would not live on the farm? Which animal would not? We're looking for the animal that would not. A dog, a chicken, a horse, or a penguin? What do you think? A dog, a chicken, a horse, or a penguin? And if I'm going too fast, please feel free to pause the video and you can stop and start at any time throughout the lesson. If you guessed penguin, well done. We would not find a penguin on a farm, at least not in England. So our big question for the day and for the unit is, where do you live? And how many different answers can you give to that question? So pause the video and have a little think. Where do you live? And how many different answers can you give to that question? Lovely, and I'd love for you to make a list of those, and you can send your ideas in on the email. You can take a picture of it and send it in to us, and I would love to see them and I can give you some feedback and see how many you came up with. So where do you live? Now we're going to look at some of our new words that we're going to be talking about today. So these are some words that we're going to hear come up in the lesson, and we're also going to talk about them as we move along in the unit. So we have continent, planet, Earth, Europe, country, Reading, England, and town. So these are some words we might be using today. All right. So having a look at the picture, what do we see? Yes, it is space. We're looking at the planets. There are lots of different planets in space. Which planet do we live on? Pause the video and share what you think. Which planet do we live on? Do you know the name of it? And can you point it out on the screen? If you guess this lovely blue and green planet right here, planet Earth, then well done. That is the planet that we live on. We live on planet Earth. Now I'd like you to have a look at this picture. So this picture is showing us a map. Can you tell me what this map is showing? Have a look. What do you notice? We can say we notice the map has lots of different colors on it. Wonder what those colors could be showing. They might be showing us that it's different places on the map. I also noticed that there's different shapes. We notice that they're not all joined together and that there's lots of space on our map. So I wonder if this is our land, what could this empty space be? Usually it's blue on a map, that's your clue. If you guessed water, you've got that right. This is a map of the world, and it shows how all the land on Earth is split into 7 areas of land called continents. And we can count that because all those different colors show us a different continent. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 different areas of land, and they're called the continents. Between the continents, we have 5 different oceans. Can you name any of the continents? We have talked about some of them before when we read stories. I'll give you a clue. This one down here is where the penguins live. So if you remember the story Lost and Found by Oliver Jeffers, our author of the month last 2 months ago, then you might remember what that one's called. If you guessed Antarctica, well done. Good memory. So these labels show what each of the continents and the oceans are called. And if you'd like to pause the video, you can make a list of each of the continents and the oceans. So we have the oceans are labeled in blue. We have the Arctic Ocean, up north in the Arctic, the Pacific Ocean, the Indian Ocean. You can guess what country that might be near. The Indian Ocean is near India. I know lots of our families have family in India. We've been there to visit. The Southern Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, and the Pacific Ocean. So if you have a special paper that you're using to save all your lovely geography work, you can make a nice list of those oceans because it will definitely help you in lessons to come if you have a list. You can also make a list of the continents, and they have names too. But on our map, their names are not written in blue, they are written in black. So we can have a look and see what each of these different continents are. So I'm going to start with this nice light green one because that's the continent that I'm from. Canada is up here, as we've looked on the map lots of times in the classroom to see Canada, and Canada is in North America. So up here we have North America. You can add North America to your list. And if we go a little further down, we can see the dark green continent, and down here we have South America. So North America is up, South America is down. South. Going across the Atlantic Ocean, just like when we read our story about Floella coming from the Caribbean. We know the Caribbean islands are down here. We've looked at the map before, and she had to get on her ship and come for 15 days to get to England, which is over here in Europe. So the red part of the map is the continent of Europe, and this lovely little island is where we live, and it's the United Kingdom, which we talked about when we did our history unit about Reading and learning about Windrush. So Floella and her family came from the Caribbean to England in the Windrush. Looking over here at our great big continent, this is Asia. It's probably the biggest one. You can see it covers a lot of the map. And down here we have Africa. So when we talk about lots of our families being from Ghana or Zimbabwe or Nigeria, we know that those countries are in the continent of Africa. And moving along, we have this nice one over here where we might find some kangaroos. And we have Australia. And finally, down at the bottom of our map where it's blue, do you remember what that one's called? Antarctica. So if you'd like to make a list of those, pause the video now and you can make a nice list of them. Lovely. Okay, I'm going to ask some questions about the map, and I'd like you to pause the video and see if you can answer them just from what you can see. So which continent is the biggest continent from what you can see? Which one is the largest? Right. If you guessed Asia, you would be right. Asia is the biggest continent. It takes up the most space on the map. Now, which continent is the smallest continent? That's right, Australia. And down here. Which continent do we live in? Where would the UK be? England. Think back to Floella going on her boat. She went all the way across to Europe. That's right. So just a few questions to see if you're paying attention to our map. And we're going to see this map in lots of our lessons this term. So don't worry if you don't know them all right away. We're going to get lots of time to practice, but make that list. It would be a good idea. We live in the United Kingdom, which is in the continent of Europe. Did you get that right? Right, so today, your challenge, and I would love if you could take a picture of these challenges and send them to the school website, is to draw some pictures to answer that question of where do I live? Because there's lots of different answers to that question. So I've drawn 4 different boxes to help guide you, and these can be suggestions. If you want to follow them as your 4, you can, or you can think of some more to add to it when you're done. We're going to start with my home. So in this first part of your picture, can you draw a picture of your home and ask an adult, if you don't know, what is your address? What's the number of your house and what street do you live on? Make sure you write it down because that's an important part of where you live. Maybe you live in a house, maybe you live in a flat. Make sure you can draw a picture of where you live. Next, we're going to say my country. Now we're thinking about the country that we live in right now, but lots of us have family in other countries. So we might think of other places as a part of our home. But when we're looking at where we live right now, we live in England, which is in the United Kingdom. So we can draw a nice little picture, and looking back on our map, we can spot the United Kingdom because we know it's that lovely island in Europe, and you can try and draw that shape and label the United Kingdom. My continent. So looking back at the map, try and figure out where is the United Kingdom. Which continent will we find it on? We've done lots of looking at the map, so if you can't remember, rewind the video and see if you can spot where we set it and draw a picture of that continent in the box. Don't forget to label. And finally, thinking back to the very beginning of this video when we looked at all those planets, can you remember which planet we live on? Draw a picture and label the planet and send in your beautiful illustrations and labels of where we live. And I can't wait to see them. And remember, when you send things into the website, the teachers will check them and will send some feedback and let you know how you did on this challenge. So have a great time drawing your pictures. I can't wait to see how many answers you can come up with that question, where do we live? And I hope that I see that lots of people have made a list of those continents to help them remember. Bye.